Hi, welcome to a horror sci-fi edition of Collectables Digest. I'm Aaron Brodkin, your host, and joining me today is super collector Mike Maston. Thanks a lot for coming, Mike.
Thank you.
Let's start it off here with a piece that you have done yourself. It's a painting. Who is this?
This is Barnabas Collins from Dark Shadows.
Okay, and Dark Shadows is?
It's an old horror soap opera.
Right, it's a soap opera.
Which is now playing on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Right, it's I see it every now and then when I'm watching TV. It's this old soap opera. It looks like a soap opera, except the characters are, it's really campy, and then the characters are...
It's a gothic love story is what it is.
A gothic love story. And and this is a painting of Barnabas. What character is he on the show?
He plays a vampire.
Is he like the evil?
Well, yeah.
Okay, so this is a soap opera that was on, you were telling me before the show, from 1966 to 1970.
1971.
1971. It was on at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it obviously had a huge impact on you. Why?
Well, when I was a little boy, I liked the way the house looked, and I mean, it just, the atmosphere. The atmosphere was perfect.
Yeah.
I like strange things. I go into cemeteries and stuff like that. I used to be terrified.
Right.
But since I saw this show, not anymore.
So you watched this show as a little kid, and you liked kind of the atmosphere of Dracula and strange,
just basically a
supernatural world.
Yeah.
Cool. And you paint, and so as you got older, you were still into it, and you started picking up what we call collectibles. So let's, first thing I want to talk about is this painting. This is an acrylic, done in an acrylic paint. It's of the main character of the show, and it was inspired by the show. So you have another piece here from another character of the show. That one's signed by the actress in the show?
Yeah, Laura Parker, who played Angelique.
Okay, and she was?
She was a witch. And that's basically about it.
And where'd you get it signed? How'd you get it signed?
I went to a convention in Las Vegas.
Strictly Dark Shadows
Strictly Dark Shadows.
Wow.
And there was quite a few fans there.
I'm sure a lot of people are surprised.
I was amazed by the turnout.
Really?
And a fan just came out of line, and because I did the painting because I wanted to have her sign a painting rather than a photograph.
Yeah.
And this fan showed her the painting, and she was at awe.
Really?
I mean, I'm going, whoa, this actress, she really likes the kind of work I do. And so she took the painting, and I'm going, oh my God. I thought she, was taking it because some actors, they think that, well,
you think you made it for them.
Yeah.
I made this for me.
Yeah. And I'd done one for her a long time ago, but I wanted to have one signed to go along with another one that you'll see later in the show of Barnabas Collins. And she did sign it. She looked a little sad, but she signed it, and I told her, well, if I meet you again, I'll do another one for you.
Cool. So was that satisfying to meet this person?
I was in heaven.
Yeah.
I was in total heaven.
Cool.
And so
you're into this, I guess I would call this kind of horror, camp horror, or this Dark Shadows?
The Dark Shadows, to me, the camp horror, I don't
Gothic love story.
It's the gothic part.
The gothic, kind of the atmosphere of a supernatural world attracted to it. You're also into, if we can look at this other painting of Spock. How long ago did you do that painting?
This was done last year.
Oh, really?
And
recently?
I'd seen another one like it that I really liked, but I just didn't want it to be that large.
Yeah.
And I just thought, well, I've tried painting this guy many a time, but that's my favorite pose.
Really?
And so I just had to have one.
Cool. I mean, I feel like these paintings, like, this show is about collectibles. And, like, for example, if the viewers notice the staff in Mike's hand, it's identical to the one in the picture of Barnabas right here. It's a, why don't you tell us about that staff? It looks like it's a dog, kind of a Doberman or something.
This is actually a wolf.
A wolf, okay.
And the cane is actually done in silver. And it was used in the series to fight off a werewolf.
The TV series. So this is from the series.
Right. This one here was used in the 1897, and it was used in also...
The 1897?
There was an 1897 version, 1840, and 41.
Those are the styles, or were those the years?
It was the years that they went into, because they went from the future into the past.
You're talking about Dark Shadows?
Dark Shadows.
Okay.
Through different time zones.
Oh, interesting.
And
I didn't even know that.
So Anyway, to explain it better, this here, Barnabas, okay, he's a vampire, but the silver didn't really affect him, and he needed something for protection, and when they had a werewolf on the show, he used a cane, which scared the werewolf, and he was able to protect himself with
it. So this was kind of integral to the plot of the show. And how did you come, you said this was the exact one that was used in a couple of episodes.
This one here was...
How'd you get it?
This I purchased at an auction. And there was a lot of fans that wanted it, but nobody could come up with the right price.
Hey, was it an auction of just general collectibles, or was it all...
It was an auction for a charity.
Okay.
And
they just had a whole bunch of stuff from TV shows. And cool. You go to auctions a lot to pick up collectibles?
Actually...
Or how do you get most of the stuff?
Some of my collection I did get from auctions, and some of the stuff I've collected just by going through all the conventions that they've had.
Yeah. So why? Why do you...
Why do I go to the conventions?
Why do you want to have all these old things from a TV show from your youth?
It makes me feel young.
It makes you feel young.
I have never aged. As far as I'm concerned, I'm still a kid.
Yeah.
And it's true. A lot of people think, for instance, like Dick Clark.
Yeah.
He walks into a room of the past. That's why he looks so young. I thought, if he can do it, I can do it.
Makes you happy. Simple as that, and that's what is at the root of your collecting. I really like these paintings. I feel like they're like, collectibles is what a lot of us collect on this. It's what we talk about. But these are homemade collectibles, and they're totally unique.
These are of my own personal collection.
Right. You can't reproduce this. This is just...
Well, this one here, I won't attempt it. It took quite a while, and it looks exactly like the print that I did it from.
Nice.
I did do another one, which I did sell down in Los Angeles.
Oh, really?
I was totally amazed. It was supposed to go in an art show, but a collector came out of the line, and they were trying to hunt me down. They had to have the piece.
Wow.
And they're collectors, too.
Cool.
And so I sold them one, and I decided I'm keeping this one.
Yeah. Well, it's great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We were talking about the Spock painting earlier. Can you talk about the poster below the Spock painting of Spock holding what looks to be a model USS Enterprise?
That's a very popular poster that was back in 1966.
Is that an original, or is that a reprint?
That's an original. That's an original.
Really?
And I went to a convention a while back, and I saw one.
You got this in 1968?
Yeah.
And you had this on your bedroom wall when you were a kid? Or?
Yeah, if you look closely at the corners, you can see it. But I was very careful when I put my posters up. I was very careful.
Smart kid.
And so I went to a convention, saw one in a cellophane.
Yeah.
The price tag was unreal. Okay. So I immediately got a frame for it.
Because it was an original, because it came out in 1968.
Well, this came out in 66.
Oh, 66.
66 was the year that came out.
When did the TV series air?
TV series, it aired in 1966.
Okay. So both Star Trek and Dark Shadows have this kind of just fantasy world that seems that you...
And they all came on the air about the same time. I mean, you've got your Lost in Space. Well, Lost in Space came on back in the early 50s.
Are you into Lost in Space as well?
Believe it or not, I've got models and stuff like that of...
Everything. I mean, it seems like a certain era, a certain genre, kind of sci-fi.
Because I go from one collection of stuff and move into another just by keeping the same theme.
Cool.
And I wanted to go into, like, Dark Shadows. I immediately love vampires, so that's why I started collecting Dark Shadows paraphernalia. And then I got into model collecting and started building my own.
Cool.
And
maybe we can talk about these models. This one first. It's
the War of the Worlds.
Is that the old radio play that Orson Welles did?
Yeah.
Wow. So, what is this? Is this a picture from or is this a reproduction from a promotional poster or something?
No, it's a small model that a company put out, and I've got a larger model, but this one was a better detailed model, and because I wanted stuff from the early 50s and sci-fi as well, and so I grew a fascination towards War of the Worlds and started collecting everything. I even have a model of the ship that's no bigger than a nickel.
Really?
And I've got the alien creature from it.
But wasn't that a radio show?
It was a radio show that turned into a major motion picture.
Oh, it was a major movie too, and that's from. What about this?
The Invasion of the Saucermen.
Invasion of the Saucermen, 1950s movie.
It was a 1950s movie.
Cool.
And it was a unique ship, and it was probably one of the best known UFOs in the science fiction series because the one actually worked.
The one actually worked?
Well, in in this movie, you actually saw something working and pulsating, where in some of the shows you just see a UFO landing and that's it.
These are very, I mean, this is like, both these pieces kind of defined X-Files, everything today. It's all based on like concepts of UFOs. And this, I mean, did you make these both yourselves? Yeah. So you bought a kit and painted it?
I bought a kit and decided to go ahead and try and build it myself. There are companies that do build-ups for you, but I feel I can do just as good as they can.
Yeah. Wow. Let's talk about this side of the set. Let's start with these posters. The first one, there's 4 large posters from House of Dark Shadows and Night of the Dark Shadows. Where'd you get these?
Okay, I got those in San Francisco.
Did you buy them like later, after the movies came out?
Actually, they weren't available until probably a year after the movie came out, because I had no access to them at the time.
So this soap opera, it was a soap opera on TV. It was so popular that Hollywood invested a lot of money and made a movie of it based on the popularity of the soap opera.
Decided to make a movie.
That'd be like Days of Our Lives movie.
Well, what they were doing when they made House of Dark Shadows, they were hoping to kind of end it because Jonathan Fred wanted out.
Who's Jonathan Fred?
He's the one that played Barnabas.
Okay.
And the movie became such a success that they decided they wanted to do another one, and they wanted him to appear in the second one, Night of Dark Shadows, but he chose not to. He wanted to move on to better things. And I'm not saying Dark Shadows is bad, because I still watch the show and still love it.
Obviously.
But he went on to other things, and then they did a second movie called Night of Dark Shadows, which had basically the same cast members, with the exception of Joan Bennett and Jonathan Fred. And, of course, Catherine Lee Scott was doing other things, too. But both of them became a major hit.
Really? These were big hits when they came out?
They were big hits when they came out.
Cool.
And then 10 years later, you hear about a convention. I'm going, I am there. It was in San Diego.
Was that the first ever, or was that the first convention that you'd heard about, or was that the first convention ever?
It's the first convention for Dark Shadows. John Carlin was the guest.
What year was that?
That was in 1979.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And
so that's kind of where you maybe pick up some new collectibles, get rid of some old, meet some other people, get a sign. And these movie posters, I guess they originally came out to promote the movie, and they're now collector's items.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So when you go to these conventions, people are selling old movie posters and stuff?
Well, it's like the one at the far end. There's a Jerry Olinger's cinema shop in New York.
Yeah.
And there was a young lady that was standing in line in a dealer's room, and she saw the poster and wanted it.
Yeah.
When I found out what it was worth, I said, I'm going to keep it. And because unless you have a set of something, it's not really that valuable. Really? It's better to have a set.
So you have a set of the 4 movie posters from the 2 movies?
And I have 2 of House and 2 of Night of Dark Shadows. Only you don't see the second one because I, of course, left that at home.
Well, you brought a lot of stuff down here. These posters. So why would one of the posters be more valuable than the other? Like you said that a woman just looked at the poster and for some reason the one at the far end she just had to have. I mean, is that what drives collectibles? Like just a general appeal that some of these things have?
Yeah, because, you know, when you see a movie poster such as the first one, they decided to do
whole cast.
Yeah, and they decided to do a second printing of it, and the second printing of the poster is so rare.
Really?
That you can't hardly find it anymore compared to the first one.
That's another thing that helps with the prices, rarity.
Right. But I collect them because I love collecting. And boy, I collected a lot.
Yeah, tell us how much stuff you have.
Oh my God. Well, like I said, I had a garage that was a 20 by 25. And
20 feet by 25 feet? Okay.
And wall to wall, I even put dividers in so I could hang up other stuff.
So you're just walking into the garage, you're basically walking in a hallway of just piles of stuff on either side.
People call it a museum.
A museum?
A museum.
Cool.
Because you walk in and the first thing you see is stuff on the wall.
Was that all Dark Shadows, or was it Dark Shadows, Star Trek?
It was all in a variety. And I more or less mixed everything so you'd get a full view of everything.
Is Santa Cruz a big Dark Shadows or 50s city? I know that Santa Cruz has some people play vampire games and stuff.
Well, a while back, we put out a petition to try to get Dark Shadows back on the air, you know, in reruns. And apparently it worked. Yeah, and apparently it worked. It didn't work on our local channel, but it did work on the Sci-Fi channel.
It is on cable, yeah, I've seen it.
Channel 44 had put it on the air, but then it got canceled for some reason, and then MPI picked it up and was selling videos, you know, which were great because you don't have no commercials.
Oh, really?
But then the Sci-Fi channel picked it up.
That's great.
And it's great because you don't really have to buy the tape.
Yeah. So this Dark Shadows being on the Sci-Fi channel, does that help generate interest in your collection?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And plus, it's even bringing the new generation in, younger children. They could watch the show and get an idea of why we like it so much. Because I've gone to conventions where I've seen 5 and 10-year-old kids that, you know, that say, whoa, this is so cool.
They've heard about it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So long ago. How about these? Let's talk about this. This is cool. You were telling me about this earlier.
One of my rarest
great story.
Pieces.
Yeah. What is it?
It's a model kit of a Cadillac hearse, and I was always fascinated by caskets when I was a little boy.
Okay, kind of a dark thing going.
Yeah, and so I saw this in a store a while back, and I bought it. My mom,
20 years back or 5 years back?
It would be 20 years back.
Okay, a while back.
And my mother said, "You're nuts. I don't want you to buy that." And I said, "I gotta have it." So I went ahead and I bought it.
So you bought this 20 years ago?
Well, actually, this one here I got at an auction.
Oh,
I got about 5 of these.
Oh, and you bought it at an auction because you had it as a kid?
As a kid.
So you go to an auction, you see this thing, you're like, I have to have it. Reminds me of when I was a kid, you know. And what's happened since then with this? Since you bought it at the auction, you found out some new information?
I found out the company had closed, and I decided when a company like that closes, that stays sealed.
Okay, so you kept it sealed. You were telling me that the company actually contacted you.
They wanted to make a duplicate of it.
They wanted to reissue. They wanted to start selling this thing again because they thought it had collector's value or whatever. And the only one they could find was this.
Well, they probably found
another one,
but it's just that I was a little terrified to send it.
It's so rare that they had to.
So I decided, nah.
Wow.
And then I found out about a month after that the company had folded, and I said, I'm so glad I didn't do it.
Wow. But, cool. So this must be a real collect. The value must go up a lot when the company folds and stuff like that happens.
The molds are destroyed or sold to other companies that just decide to shove it on the shelf and put it away.
So is there a big market for models? Are there model conventions?
Rare ones.
Rare models.
Yeah.
All right. How about these ones? You have Wolfman Dracula, the Creature.
Okay. These are old reissues from back in the early '60s, which I'm really glad to see again.
These are reissues. Okay.
Reissues. These are not originals. But to people that, you know, like the kids of today, if they buy those, they're collector's items for them. Then when they get to my age or our age, then it doubles.
Yeah.
And some of these are only a one-time shot.
Wow. So Wolfman Dracula, it's kind of your whole theme, and you saw him, you liked him. Maybe we can get the camera to go down this front row, right on the bottom of the stage, and we can watch, and we can talk about what's down right here. Go down a little more on the camera. Yeah, we can just scroll down, physically down, like this stuff. Yeah, okay. Let's stay right here. What's this thing?
Okay, that's, I think it's a French poster, and it's called Brides of Dracula.
Brides of Dracula.
And the only reason why it caught my eye is because it's a foreign poster. Foreign posters, for some reason, are more valuable.
Foreign movie poster? Right.
Are more valuable than American posters.
Really? I guess that's just the rare supply and demand thing coming back.
Because they only made, you know, a few hundred of them, and that's it. And then I look back and
La
I go,
Matrices de Dracula. Okay, what's next to that? The Black Castle. What's that?
Okay, that was a movie with Boris Karloff, and it had Lon Chaney in it. I love the film because, again, I was fascinated by caskets, and the blonde gal that you see there with the gentleman there, they were to be put into a deep sleep, and yet they weren't dead, but there was an evil man in the film that wanted them separated.
This is a movie.
And so he gave them some kind of a potion that put them in a deep sleep so that they couldn't say anything. He wanted to bury them alive. But
So this is a movie kind of goes along with your interests, and that's that's the type of thing that someone might be looking for at a convention, or
they would if they got them in a set.
Oh, it's sets.
Yeah, in sets, because nowadays you can't get anything unless it's in a set.
Really? So it's like a big ticket item.
Right.
It makes it easier to sell than buy.
And the reason why I got it is because Boris Karloff was on the cover of it. And finding stuff on him is hard.
Cool. How about the internet? Has that affected your collection, or do you see selling stuff or buying stuff on the internet?
Well, it's funny you should say that. I don't have a computer because I'm afraid that if anyone found out about my collection, they would want to buy my stuff.
Yeah. And you don't want to part with it.
I don't want to part with it.
You don't want someone to offer you a lot of money and then just part with it and then go, no.
Not right at this point.
Cool. Well, thanks a lot for watching. Actually, we got some more time. Let's start off here and just go down the row. We'll talk about each item. This big movie poster, there we go. Night of the Nightmare. Okay, this is again goes along with your Boris Karloff, Black Sabbath.
It was a Gothic movie.
Is that where the band Black Sabbath got its name? Possibly. Could be. Okay.
Go there. But no, it had Boris Karloff in it, and it was a Gothic film too. And it was just unique. Karloff played a vampire in the film.
Yeah.
And so I just had to own it.
So Boris Karloff, this guy, he's an actor. He played Dracula, or
Karloff. He played in several films, the Frankenstein movie.
Is he a collectible? Is he the type of person you see a lot of collectibles?
I rarely see any of his stuff now because it's all being snagged up.
Really?
The gentleman passed away in 1968, so
a long time ago.
A lot of stuff.
But you got a bunch of mementos of his.
Oh yeah.
What's next to that bride of next to the Black Sabbath poster down there? Kiss of the Vampire. What's this?
It's a British film. It deals with a vampire that lives in a castle full of other vampires, and he gets a bride up there.
Were these major movies when they came out, or were they like kind of B movies?
No, they're major movies.
They were major studio movies.
This one was made in Britain.
That's some great art on that poster. It's a picture.
Oh yeah. That's what attracted me to it, was the art.
They don't do that very much for movies anymore.
No.
So it looks like we got movie posters that you collect, models, and then this is my favorite part of your collection, just making your own collectible. Because it's like if you really are into something, you can make, whatever's going to make you happy. These paintings are really great, Mike.
Thanks.
You're welcome. What's next to the Kiss of the Vampire? Another picture of, what was his name?
This one's an autograph painting of Barnabas Collins.
Autographed?
I had given the actor a painting.
You painted it?
Yeah.
Cool.
I had given the actor a painting, and by the way, I had won first prize on that painting the same day that I gave him the portrait.
First prize in what contest?
Well, I got a blue ribbon for the best
at the convention?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
And I said, would you please sign this one painting? Because he asked me if what I'd want in return. I said, just an autograph on one of my paintings. And he said, I'd be glad to do it. And I had a photo taken with him.
Yeah.
I was the happiest fan there.
Cool.
So.
How often do you go to these conventions?
Whenever I get the chance.
How often are they?
The Vegas one was just last year.
So they're every couple of years or so?
And it depends on the guests that show up.
Really? The original actors? Some of them must be dying.
Quite a few of them in the series did die.
Really?
But he's still very much alive, and
Barnabas.
David Selby's very much alive. So.
This Dark Shadows soap opera, you saw it as a child and it influenced you strongly. Do you have any insight? I mean, I'm sure people are wondering, what is it about this soap opera, What
it's just
that makes someone want to spend all this time painting? It's just what?
It's just intriguing.
It was just
and I want
captivated
to be
your imagination.
I want to be in his world.
Right. So as a child, you had this
fascination.
Right. And that's what the collectible market's kind of about. Being into something as a kid and then recapturing it and meeting other people who are into it as well. Mike, thank you very much. This is a great collection. Thanks a lot for being on the show. And we will see everybody next time on Collectables Digest. Thank you.